Okay, I'm here to finish up the biscotti recipe, and in that process, I got them all dipped. I dipped some in milk chocolate and some in white chocolate. I want to go back and show you that I use Ghirardelli melting wafers. I have white ones and milk chocolate ones. I usually also get some dark chocolate ones at some point in time. So I'm seeing my sweet sister Sandra in a couple of days, and these are some of her favorite holiday treats. So I thought I would fix her a little box and take them to her. The biscotti's good. I selfishly have a couple of them left that I'm going to leave here so that I can sample them. But most of these are going to be gifts. There's a fair amount of biscotti left that's not dipped at all yet. I'll put it in the freezer. I don't like to freeze it after I dip it. The chocolate turns and it's not very good frozen. That's been my experience. So I'll leave them in the freezer and dip them when I'm ready to use them in some way. It was a fun recipe to do. Learn some lessons from it. We'll do some things differently when I do them again, but I hope Sandra will enjoy these. I will see you soon. Christmas prep is starting here at Something Sweet is about to happen. We're going to start making some Christmas things, some things that can be frozen and put away and used when we get a little bit closer to Christmas. Today we're going to make Christmas biscotti. I don't know what makes it Christmas, except that's when I always make it. So we're going to start that today. But a couple of things. It's a strange day for us here in Florida. You look outside the window and you think you were in 31-degree weather somewhere north. It's just dark and dreary and rainy. It doesn't look like typical Florida, but it makes me want to be in the kitchen and make yummy, yummy things. One other thing I want to tell you about, I have a sweet little girl that I go to church with, and she raises chickens. She loves them. She does 4-H. She shows her chickens. She takes care of them, and she gathers their eggs, and she brings them. And those of us who bake and do all kinds of things like to buy them from her. I just wanted to show you the beautiful eggs I got this morning, all stamped from Callie's Coop. They are delicious. To be completely honest, I don't bake with them. I save those for us to scramble and fry and eat for breakfast because they're so rich. The yolks are so yellow. They're so good. I appreciate little Callie so much for thinking of me when she has eggs that I can get. Fresh eggs are so good. Maybe sometime I'll have enough that I will use them for baking and I won't be so selfish and just use them for myself. But that's where we are. That's where we are right now. So let's get started with the beginnings of our biscotti. As with most biscotti, do you even know what that is? I mean, I think we've all had it. We've dunked it in our coffee before. We know it's a crunchy cookie. But biscotti is baked twice. So you bake it in a loaf and then you cool it and then you slice it into slices and you bake it again. That's what gives it that signature crunch. So we will start by mixing a batter, almost a dough. It's thick, and forming it and baking it in a loaf first. So when we start, you won't think it looks like biscotti because it doesn't look like biscotti yet. It takes a little while. We are heating the oven to 350 degrees, so we'll be ready to put this in when we have it made. But as usual, we lined our cookie sheet with parchment paper, so it's ready. And then we will start mixing the dry ingredients. So we have 2 cups of plain flour, a teaspoon and a half of baking powder, not baking soda. We're going to put that in. 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Yep, there it is. 1/4 of a teaspoon, maybe another tad of salt. I think that's all the dry ingredients. I think it is, and we're going to whisk those together so that they'll be ready to add into our wet ingredients. In the bowl of my stand mixer, I have a stick of, it's unsalted, isn't it? I have a stick of room temperature unsalted butter. It's in there, ready to be added to. We are going to We're going to put the butter, 3/4 of a cup of plain sugar, the lemons, some lemon zest. It gives it just a little bit of a tang. If you don't have a microplane like this, you can't really zest lemons or anything that needs zesting very well without it. I really have enjoyed this. I bet you can guess where I got it if you've watched a video of mine before. Everything I have comes from Amazon, pretty much. Let's get that lemon zest in there. Scrape it off the microplane. So we have plenty of that. Let's see what else it says. The sugar, butter, lemon zest, and salt. I put the salt in the dry ingredients, but it'll be fine. We're going to beat this until it's fluffy. I bet we got to turn that bowl around. We're going to use the paddle attachment. Let that beat. We're going to beat that for a few minutes. When that has incorporated together the sugar and the butter, we're going to add 2 eggs, one at a time, and beat them in. So we'll do that in just a minute. We're going to let this sugar and butter get nice and fluffy. As long as it's sugar and butter and eggs, we can beat it pretty much as long as we want to for it to have the consistency that it needs. Once we add the flour, then we have to be careful about how long we beat it. We do not want the gluten to develop so that these are tough. So we'll be careful about that. That's why we want to make sure this butter and sugar are completely incorporated together before we go on to the next step. We'll turn it up. Let that beat. Okay. Looking really good. This is a really simple recipe. It's a lot like the cookies that we just had the video on just before this one. Not hard, but it takes time because there's steps to it. When we get these cookies baked the second time, we're going to dip one end of them in some chocolate. And if you have some green or red sugar, you can sprinkle that on there. You can put some sprinkles on there. I don't even have to do that as long as it's dipped in chocolate. I use some white chocolate and some milk chocolate, and they just look so pretty, and they're really good. If you put them on a tray next to the coffee pot, and people can pick one up when they have their cup of coffee. They're just a really fun holiday treat. I got this recipe from my sweet niece Amy many years ago, and I don't make them every year, but every so often we have to have them. I'm going to add 1 egg. Come on. There we go. I have to stop it and scrape the sides. Go ahead and add our other egg. I'm going to scrape these sides. I love my stand mixer, but it tends to put things up on the side of the bowl and they kind of get stuck up there. So what's in the middle is nice and blended, but there are clumps of sugar or butter or whatever down in the bottom, and we want to make sure we get all those scraped up so we don't have them stuck down there. Okay, let's beat that another minute. All right, we're going to turn it down on low, and we're going to start adding our dry ingredients just a little at a time. When we've added all the dry ingredients, we're going to take the mixer off. We're not going to use the mixer for the last part. And we're going to stir in 3/4 of a cup of coarsely chopped pistachios, and 2/3 of a cup of dried cranberries or craisins. Funny story. I bought these pistachios a while ago and they're in the freezer. I believed, I truly believed they were already shelled, and that I had a bag full of the kernels. So I asked Sabrina to measure me out 3/4 of a cup, and I look in here and she's cracking open pistachios. I didn't buy the right ones. I won't make that mistake again. Took us a little while to get 2/3, 3/4 of a cup of them, but we did it. The biscotti will be worth it. A little bit more. We almost got all the dry ingredients added in. All right. That. We're going to turn the mixer off. Scrape these sides. Beat it just another minute. Just a very short period of time because I want to do that final mix with my spatula by hand. So I think we've got that. It's a very thick batter, and it's going to get even thicker when we add the pistachios and the craisins. So, but we want it that way. It's going to hang together in a log. All right, let's this off of here. Get as much off of there as we can. Well, it's taking a minute to get this all scraped off of here. Okay. I'm gonna lay that aside and we may come back and scrape a little bit more of it in a minute. But right now, let's get the add-ins added in. Look at this batter, pretty thick. Here's our 2/3 of a cup of dried cranberries. I'm gonna put those in. And here are the hard fought 3/4 cup of chopped pistachios that we lovingly shelled by hand. We'll put those in and we're going to blend that together. It's very thick, and we know that it's going to be that way. Oh, isn't it pretty? The colors look like Christmas. Look at that. It's all pretty, and nuts and fruit. Make us think about the holidays, don't they? All right, I'm going to move some of these things around and get out my silicone mat so that I can start shaping this into a log so we can get it in the oven. I'll show it to you before we put it in there. We've got our batter out on the silicone mat. The oven is heated. You can see this is just a big blob of dough. I've done this a few times. One of the issues I've had in making them like I want them to be, because I'm never satisfied with what I do, ever. So I always think there's something else I could do to make it better. They always came out wide, and I want them to be narrower. So the directions say to form this into a log 13 inches long, and I don't remember, 13 inches long and 3 inches wide. I'm going to divide this into two and make it into two logs. I'm hoping that's going to make a narrower cookie than I've made in times past. Cut that in half. It is sticky. I've got a little bowl of water over here that I can use so that I can handle this because it is cookie dough. It's sticky. Let's take this piece and we're going to just form it, kind of flatten it. If I was smart, I would put it over here so that I could measure it. But I didn't do that. Let's try that. See if that helps us. All right, a little bit more water. We're going to It doesn't have to be perfect. Make these into smaller cookies. Let's see, this may not work. We may have to put the dough back together in one log. What I'm thinking, scrape that up. All right, guys, I'm going to keep working on this, and I'll come back and show you when I've made the determination of what I want to do and how I get it formed. See you in a few. Well, that was an odyssey. That's what happens with baking, especially when you have ideas that may not match up with what the recipe says exactly. Scientifically, we have the right ingredients. It's the forming of them. So I've made 2 rectangles, and as you can see, they're not super thick. So these will bake. The recipe says 35 or 40 minutes, but we divided it into 2 rather than 1. So it's probably not going to take that long. I'm going to set the timer, so 350, I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to look at it. We're supposed to bake it till it starts to turn golden brown. We don't want to bake it too long because then it won't slice. So we've got to watch it carefully, and we've changed things up by changing the size. I think they're going to be great. So we're going to stick them in the oven, and I'll come back and show you when we get them done. We baked our biscotti into golden loaves, and it has been cooling on this rack for 30 minutes. We're going to transfer it 1 loaf at a time to a cutting board. We are using a serrated knife, and we're going to slice this diagonally and rebake it. So we're going to start right here. It's going to be a tiny one. That could be a snap. And then we're going to, that's about the size I wanted them to be. It's thundering and lightning here, and guess who hates that? My puppies, both of them. They said, why don't you come back and hold us? They do not like it. That looks like it's going to break. Okay, cut side down. Side down. Look at the inside of that. Hope that's going to hold together. Okay. I'm very happy. Okay. We're going to put these back into the oven at 350, and we're going to bake them for about 15 minutes. They're pretty delicate right now because they haven't had that second bake, so you have to be a little careful with them as you move them to the baking sheet because you don't want them to break in half. So I'm going to cut the rest of them, and I'll come back and show you what they look like. Okay, we've cut all the biscotti into pieces. They look like about the size I wanted. They're not all exactly the same. That's okay. We are home bakers. We're going to put this back in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes. I'll start watching it to make sure, but we're going to do it until they're golden brown, and then they'll cool and they'll be crispy. So I'll show you when we bring them back out. Okay, I'm here to finish up the biscotti recipe, and in that process I got them all dipped. I dipped some in milk chocolate and some in white chocolate. I want to go back and show you that I use Ghirardelli melting wafers. I have white ones and milk chocolate ones. I usually also get some dark chocolate ones at some point in time. So I'm seeing my sweet sister Sandra in a couple of days, and these are some of her favorite holiday treats. So I thought I would fix her a little box and take them to her. The biscotti's good. I selfishly have a couple of them left that I'm going to leave here so that I can sample them. But most of these are going to be gifts. There's a fair amount of biscotti left that's not dipped at all yet. I'll put it in the freezer. I don't like to freeze it after I dip it. The chocolate turns and it's not very good frozen. That's been my experience. So I'll leave them in the freezer and dip them when I'm ready to use them in some way. It was a fun recipe to do. Learn some lessons from it. We'll do some things differently when I do them again. But I hope Sandra will enjoy these. I will see you soon.